That is Brother Trucker, folks, and welcome to the November 6th edition of the Fallon Forum. We're going to talk elections tonight. We're going to talk about the one that just happened, and we're going to look ahead at some of the stuff likely to happen next year, including a little analysis of the Democratic Party's Jefferson-Jackson dinner and some controversies surrounding who gets to speak and who doesn't. But I want to start off by thanking the Iowa chapter of the Sierra Club and also Iowa Physicians for Social Responsibility and the Great March for Climate Action. And I want to thank Gateway Market and Cafe for sponsoring this segment of our show. I'm going to a dinner party after the show, which is a lot of fun, and I know that a bunch of the great ingredients are coming from Gateway Market. And I'm all sorts of intrigued to see how they pull this one together. But it involves, to some degree, my sweet potatoes being turned into noodles. Go figure. But anyway, Gateway Market, other than my garden ingredients, Gateway Market providing the lion's share of the good stuff going into that meal. Check them out, folks, and support your local grocery store at 20th and Woodland in Sherman Hill. I also want to thank the Fighting Burrito at 13th and Locust in downtown Des Moines, where you can get a custom-made burrito for only $6.50, and it's a filler and really delish. I also want to thank Hawk Restaurant, where I had dinner last night with a farmer from Nebraska. Very impressed with the fact that Hawk Restaurant serves 90% of the food. It comes from Iowa farms, Iowa producers. Pretty impressive. Check them out, folks, at East 5th and Walnut in the East Village neighborhood. Okay, so we'll have a couple people joining us on the phone here shortly, Jonathan, but welcome back to the program. Jonathan Niederbach in the studio with me.
Happy to be here.
And pull that microphone a lot closer to you, John.
We can do that.
There you go. Good. Well, I will say this. You were a lot closer on election results in Polk County than I was. You had Skip Moore getting, 55%? I was thinking he was going to clean house and get 68. Okay, it was 57.
Yes.
So my hat's off to you on that one. We both thought Chris Hensley would win, but right. I was predicting she'd have 60% and you 66.
You won.
I was closer on that one. Yes. Okay, Ward 1. We called that one right. We thought Bill Gray and Sean Bagnowski would pull that off, and I think you thought Sean would probably have the largest vote total. Bill Gray did. Yes. There will be a runoff on December 3rd.
Okay,
we'll see how that works. And regarding the courthouse vote, I was not even close. Actually, the percentage I predicted was close, but for the other side anyway. I thought there'd be more anti-tax people out there, but no.
When all voters hear is one side of the issue, and in this case there was no organized opposition, I'm not surprised it got 2/3 of the vote. Really.
All right. Hey, well let's bring Graham Gillette into this conversation. Graham is on the phone with us. Graham, welcome to the Fallon Forum.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Good.
Hi, Graham.
All right. After the fact, maybe you don't have to give me a straight answer, but did the election in Polk County turn out kind of how you thought it might?
Yeah, I thought that the courthouse was exactly as I thought it was. The other ones, I guess, the Skip Moore and Chris Diebel numbers probably were a little more lopsided, but in retrospect, they turned out about the way I guess you could call them.
So do you think the negative campaign ads hurt Diebel significantly or just a little bit?
I think what hurt Diebel the most was his response to the negative ads. I mean, I think that he went out with them and then, his failure to respond to the outcry, as the Register said, to double down on what he said and to ignore the fact that the not only were the mailers misleading, they were untrue. I think that's what really hurt him. I think if he would have come out and said, I made a misstatement in the heat of the moment, I made a mistake, I think he would have saved a few more votes than he did.
Yeah, I mean, he took every opportunity to double down. He even went on Jan Michelson the morning before Election Day to reinforce it. It was very interesting.
Yeah, and the Des Moines Register. You would think that might have caused him to say, well, maybe this was a mistake. Jan Michelson's one thing. The Des Moines Register, backing down on an endorsement, switching sides. That's kind of unprecedented. I was surprised they went that far. They didn't even unendorse Steve King the time that they backed him.
Exactly. But the fact of the matter is, the Register gave him at least two choice chances. He had the letter.
Sorry, Graham, we can't quite hear you there. Hold on.
That's all right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, hold on a second, Graham, while we work the connection here a little bit. Just hold on a second. Let me ask you this, Jonathan. It seems to me like there were three entities, shall we say, three people and places that took a hit in this election. And that was Chris Diebel. I mean, just admittedly. I mean, I have nothing against the guy. I think he's a great guy. I think he has potential as a candidate. But I think he came out of this election having lost political capital. He came in with a little.
Well,
it started building, and then it's going to take him a while to regain that political capital.
He has more name recognition than he had before.
I don't know if it's good, though.
Well, but you can also convert that. I mean, with time, he can pull that back if he wants to. If he's really motivated and he has fire in his belly, he can pull that back.
Yeah. Okay.
Who else?
Well, the other, I mean, I think Jeff Link and Bonnie Campbell, to the extent that people I mean, the public's not going to really know much or care, but political insiders know that the advice to do these negative campaign ads was from Jeff Link, from Bonnie Campbell, and that's got to tarnish their political credentials a little bit.
I'd agree.
Yeah. And I don't know how bad that's going to tarnish their reputation, where they lose business over it or what.
Well, they're a pretty established firm. I think they'll still do pretty well for a while.
Do you have me back on now, Ed?
Well, we hear you, Graham.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Well, Ed's shaking his head no, and I'm saying yes. So I don't know. Different circuits, perhaps.
There you go.
Anyway, Jeff Link has a lot of clients. I think he's a go-to guy for a lot of Democratic clients, and I don't think that's going to change based upon just one election.
Yeah. Well, and to me, the other loser in this is negative campaigning, and that's a loser most of us can celebrate, I think. I mean, negative campaigning took a hit.
Yes.
I mean, it's never. I mean, it's going to be used some more.
It's always a very, very fine line. If you're going to do negative campaigning, you have to be rock solid on the facts. I mean, there can't be any room for questioning. That's what I think really comes out of this. I mean, to say no negative campaigning, the problem is if you're a challenger running against a school board member or a city council member or a county supervisor, what else do you do? If you're not, often you're running because you're unhappy with some part of the status quo.
Right.
Somehow, Chris crossed the invisible line clearly.
I like that, crisscrossed.
That wasn't planned.
Yeah.
The invisible line. Recall the issue a couple of years ago about pull tab gambling in the
yes, sure.
And the Iowa Lottery is under a mandate to try and increase lottery revenue, and so they came up with this new game in the bars where you would pull the tabs off and gamble. I don't recall the exact detail, but there was an overwhelming consensus really, really fast that this was going too far.
Yeah.
Well, it's sort of the same thing with Chris. And yet, it's a very hard line to figure out in advance, but I think he could have figured it out. But as you said, the worst part was once he had noticed that he had crossed that line, he didn't back.
Graham, hopefully we can hear you better now. Did negative campaigning also take a hit in this election? And also, did Link and Associates, did Jeff Link and Bonnie Campbell also take a hit?
Yeah, I think it says a lot about the mood of the electorate. And, looking forward to the rest of this conversation, that's what the folks, the candidates who are going to be standing for election in the next year or two need to take into account. The mood of the voters, I think, is very sour. And I think that's why the backlash was so strong against Chris Diebel on this. They're tired of this type of campaigning. And for whatever reason, Chris Diebel said the wrong thing at the wrong time. Now, as far as political consultants, who knows? I think they're invisible to most people. The other interesting piece of the Chris Diebel election, which I think it was also counted against him, was the out-of-state money, the $57,000 from the realtors. People don't like that outside influence, and I think candidates that are out there now need to take note, because that's the message I think voters here in Des Moines send, and I think there's a little bit around the country yesterday too.
How so around the country?
Well, I mean, the Virginia race may have been an anomaly. Both those guys had such high negatives, but they earned those high negatives, I think, in both cases. The voters are tired of this politics as usual, and I think they're looking for a change. It's going to be interesting to me when the congressional races come along, whether people are going to vote back these congressmen like they historically have or not. The opinion polls are so low on Congress right now. You would expect for a real sea change to come in Congress. It's too early to say whether that's going to happen or not. But boy, if I were standing for election 2 years from now, and then next year in Congress, I'd be listening.
Some people speculate that Cuccinelli in Virginia, the opponent to Terry McAuliffe. I mean, Terry McAuliffe is a consummate political insider, and that's automatic baggage going into an election. The fact that he pulled this off is commendable to his campaigning skills. Barely pulled it off.
50,000 votes.
Yeah, well, right, which is a slim margin in a state like Virginia, but against a Tea Party candidate who possibly would have won had it not been for the government shutdown, which most Virginians, Virginians by a big margin, a bigger margin than most states, depend on government working for their own employment. And when government shut down, that did not go over well with the electorate, and they tended to blame it on the Tea Party folks, and Cuccinelli was tarnished with that brush. I mean, to what extent do you think that had an impact on the election, Graham?
Oh, I think you're dead on. I think that negativity, a lot of that blows back to the Tea Party, blows back to Republicans in general, and they need to change. They need to find a different song to march to. Something's seriously wrong with the Republican Party, and they don't understand it. Now, also, I would say there are things wrong with the Democratic Party, and they're not listening either.
What is the Democratic Party's issue?
Well, I think the Democratic Party needs to start finding these issues that strike a chord with voters and start governing, start leading to find the examples. They're going to have to peel away some of these Republicans in Congress, in the state legislatures, and other places to start coming over and voting with them. And that's going to take a little bit of effort.
One more question. One more question, Jonathan. You've got Chris Christie winning by a landslide in New Jersey, a Democratic state with a Democratic House and a Democratic Senate. Chris Christie, Republican, winning overwhelmingly. Does this send a message within the Republican Party that the Tea Party wing is not the way to go? That if you really want to have any kind of viability on the national scene, you've got to think more like a Chris Christie than a Rand Paul.
Well, Chris Christie does the only thing a Republican who wants to win in New Jersey could possibly do. I mean, you can't be a Tea Party Republican in New Jersey and even get up in the morning. I mean, it's hopeless politically. So
right, but can that be said about the country as a whole? I mean, there's certainly pockets where
Cuccinelli came really close to winning. I mean, if he, the national Republicans did not give him very much money, only $1 million. Sounds like a lot of money, but only $1 million.
I'd take only $1 million. 4
years ago, they gave $3 million to McDonald. So if they had poured another, a lot of postmortems, I'm sure. But if they had poured another $500,000 or $1 million in there, it could have swung 50,000 votes plausibly.
What do you think,
Graham?
Graham?
And then we'd all be talking about what it meant to have a Tea Party win.
I mean, there were a couple Tea Party candidates in municipal elections here in the metro area that, of course, didn't run as Republicans or as Tea Party people, but that is their background, that is their perspective. The two that I'm aware of both lost. Again, I haven't done a survey of the entire country, but from what I've heard, Tea Party candidates did not fare very well in Virginia, elsewhere. Graham, do you think this is a setback for the Tea Party, or is it just a blip in their radar?
I think we give the Tea Party too much credit. They're a paper tiger. They don't really exist. Right. I think the message out of this campaign, whether you're Chris Steeble, you're Chris Christie, or any other Chris's out there, the fact of the matter is, people have to stop running on being negative. They have to stop running, tearing the other side down. They have to start putting forward their ideas and putting forward reasonable plans to get those done. Chris Christie won because he's Chris Christie. He's portrayed himself and has an image with New Jersey voters as a guy who gets the job done.
Right.
People should have run a campaign that said, I'm a guy that's going to get the job done. He didn't do that. He decided to tear the other guy down.
He started out with that, but then he tried to tear Skip Moore down, and it did not resonate. And maybe we should be thanking him for that contribution to politics. That negative campaigning did not work real well. Maybe it's seen its time. I kind of doubt it.
Real solutions. Run with real solutions and back them up with your actions. Like Chris Christie or not, that's what he's done.
Graham, we've got to take a short break. If you'd like to stick with us, you can. I want to switch gears and talk a little bit about the Democratic Party convention. Joe Stutler from is going to join us on the phone as well. And, where this is kind of free flowing. If you've got something else to throw in, you're welcome to do that. And again, I don't know whether you've got to get going, but you're welcome to stick with us for the next.
I'm going to run. I got a kid I got to run over to the high school, but I appreciate the time.
Good. Thank you. Good luck with that.
All right.
All right, Graham Gillette, folks. When we come back, Joe Stutler is going to join Jonathan Niederbach and I as we continue our conversation about the election, but also what happens next. I mean, we've been looking at what happened this week, or yesterday specifically, and what happens next? What kind of races are we looking at? What is that dynamic within the Democratic Party? Do we get a glance at what that's about based on what happened at the convention this past week? Anyway, we'll take a look at that. And again, you're always welcome to join the conversation, folks, at 515-244-0077, 515-244-0077. I want to again thank Gateway Market and Cafe for sponsoring this segment of our show. Again, check them out, folks, at 20th and Woodland for a great grocery store, but also for breakfast, lunch, and supper, and a catering service as well. I want to thank Diana's Wedding Cakes out of Newton. Not just cakes, but cupcakes, cookies for all sorts of services, all sorts of occasions, not just weddings. And I want to thank the bookstore at 6th and Locust in downtown Des Moines, one of the only 2 locally owned bookstores in Des Moines. The owner is a wonderful guy who will find you your book, whether it's on his shelf or in the catalogs he's got to order from. Check out the bookstore at 6th and Locust. And I'll be back in just a couple minutes. We'll continue our conversation here on the Fallon Forum.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershide.
I am administrative manager
I'm the senior technician.
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
You know, if we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, you know, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, I mean, it's your home.
You know, it's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're gonna do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's gonna be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're gonna do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed right or it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we'd fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
I mean, if you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you gonna say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're gonna be listening. They're gonna wanna know what your challenges are. Then they're gonna come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you know, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it, because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? I mean, you can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me, but is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I mean, I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going though, I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm gonna take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
I mean, fixed right or it's free or 100% money back.
enough said.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
That's Max Wellman, folks, and we're back to our conversation on the Fallon Forum. I want to thank the Immigrant Entrepreneur Summit for sponsoring this segment of our show and remind you about the big event coming up this Saturday, November 9th at Drake University. This is an all-day event for only $35, a great opportunity to learn how to grow your business. If you don't have a business to grow, to learn how to start one using social media, using your full knowledge of how to manage the Affordable Care Act with regards to your employees, and with regards to changes in the tax code. The tax code changes as fast as the tides in some of our oceans. It's just you got to keep up with it, and you need help. And this is a great place to go. Again, $35 for an entire day of workshops at Drake University. Go to iesusa.org to register. I also want to thank N-Touch Therapy Services. That's Kim Foley's business. She's a physical therapist and a massage therapist. She can be reached at 979-8629. That's 979-8629. Normally, she charges $50 for an hour-long full-body massage. If you're a first-time customer, Jonathan, maybe? $40. And let me tell you, I've been going to her for 4 years, and that's why I feel so great today. Anyway, she really does a fantastic job. Check her out, folks, 979-8629. I also want to thank Community CPA and Associates. That's the brainchild of Yingsa. Yingsa used to do accounting for one of the larger corporations in Des Moines, and now she's got her own business. It has grown to be the 10th largest accounting firm in Iowa. Check them out, folks. That's Community CPA. Okay, back to our conversation about elections past and present. We're kind of done looking at the past. Let's look forward. And I want to start by going to our phone lines and welcoming Joe Studler to the conversation. Joe is from Marion. He's been a very active Democrat over the years, including serving on the State Central Committee. And I've been tracking some interesting posts on the font of all wisdom, and that would be Facebook, and an interesting dialogue you've been having about the Jefferson-Jackson Day dinner, which I mistakenly called a convention. Jonathan Nutterbach, who remains in the studio with us against medical advice, and it corrected me. It's not a dinner. It's not a convention. It's a dinner. Anyway, Joe, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Ed. Hi, Jonathan.
How are you?
So you got into quite a conversation with several people, and I could read the whole thing, but that would be boring when I've got you on the phone. Basically, the contention is that to speak at the convention, you've got to pay a price. And when I read that, I said, well, what price is he talking about? Joe, what price do you have to pay to speak at the convention? Convention. There we go again, Jonathan. The dinner, the Jefferson-Jackson Day dinner.
Well, the JJ it's a big fundraiser for the Democratic Party of Iowa, and I understand they've got to raise money, but it seems that the price to actually speak at it is you must buy into the van.
And that's the Voter Activation Network. It's essentially a database of active Democrats.
Correct. And as I understand it, and I have not seen firsthand the email that went out to some of the folks, but it was about $6,000 just to buy into the thing. In order to speak, you had to already be bought into the van.
I'm shocked that it was that low. I mean, my recollection is the price tag was like $20,000 per congressional district. So was $6,000 just a deposit? Was that just a down payment?
And that may be, again, I'm, kind of going off this secondhand, and I was a little disappointed at it myself. And of course, it too may be that it's kind of early and it's off year, and they're trying to see who can, raise the most money at this point, just to be considered, viable or important or credible or whatnot. But, to me, it was just a little disappointing that in order to even just say hi to the folks, you had to have already bought in, fairly big.
Wait, so I mean, candidates weren't tickets like $100,
yes.
Jonathan? So you could pay $100, which is still a lot. Come to the dinner, and you could still, work the room, shake hands, meet people.
Work the room, meet and greet, have your little table over there with your, with your lit and stuff like that. But on the podium, on the main stage, when folks are all being introduced, here's, candidate A, and he's going to speak for, X amount of time. And here's candidate B, and they're going to speak for X amount of time. Oh, and here's somebody else. He's going to wave hi at you, and we're going to shuffle him off.
Because he didn't pay the $6,000 for the van.
Because he didn't pay us.
Jonathan, do you see it the same way, or do you think that's a legitimate entry fee, so to speak, for candidates?
Frankly, I think it's bizarre. I mean, I've been going to JJ dinners on and off since 1975, and it's always had a really key role in exposing potential state candidates and presidential candidates to the activists of the Democratic Party. And to say that you have to pay to play is not a good thing.
Now, when I ran for governor, I did not buy the voter activation network. I did not see a need for it, and it was a lot more expensive. I have a feeling $6,000 is just a down payment. I have a feeling they're going to pay a lot more than that when they get done. But I did not buy it. I did not see a need for it in my campaign. I mean, and I can get into the details, but it just did not make sense for me. And I was still able to participate as fully as the other candidates. So I don't know. And I know that in past years, Dennis Kucinich was excluded, and for a different reason. It wasn't because of the van. It was because he didn't have an office in Iowa when he was running for president. So it seems like there are different. I mean, it seems like the rules are always changing.
It seems to me to be a moving target, and
yes.
If I was, and me as a little guy, and I say little guy because I really am. I'm a little guy. I'm a disabled vet. I'm living on a disability income. After having served my country and gotten broken up a little bit, and I can't afford to be a money guy and get the access. But I give my time, I give my energy, I give my efforts. I work with candidates behind the scenes, even if it's not my preferred candidate, coaching them on veterans issues and how to talk to veterans and things like that. I should have some kind of value. I don't. I don't feel like I have value to these guys unless I can reach into my pocket and keep throwing money on the table. And, I understand they've got to raise money because you got to raise money in order to win elections. That's just the nature of the beast.
Let me switch.
This early out,
yeah.
Really, you before I even get exposure, you tell me to,
right.
to go away.
Yeah. Well, I think we're agreeing with you on that, both of us. Let me switch gears here. You'd also put up a post this past week about, you were apologizing for misinforming voters that the polls would be open until 9 o'clock. And as I read through the thread, I realized it was very generous of you to apologize because you were merely quoting the time posted on the Secretary of State's website. I mean, Matt Schultz, the head election king in Iowa, got the voting hours wrong. That's pretty bad. That's pretty egregious.
That was a bad one from where I sit, and Jonathan and I believe, have already chatted a little bit on Facebook, and he's got a different perspective, and I respect his. But the way I look at it is, I went to the Secretary of State's website last night at roughly 7 o'clock just to confirm what time polls close, because I had been posting all day that there are 3 sacred holidays on my calendar: Memorial Day, Veterans Day, both of which bring you Election Day. Get out there and vote. I don't care who you vote for, but if you're not doing your civic
right, but you were
duty,
saying
if you're not exercising that right.
You were saying that you thought Matt Schultz should resign because of this. It was that serious.
Yeah, well, I don't know that that was a little more tongue in cheek. Is this one thing that should bring the guy down?
Jonathan, what's your take on it?
It's a series of.
It probably was a staff error, most likely, and it's a bad error. He should say we're doing the following things to make sure it doesn't happen again. He's not going to resign, and frankly, I don't think he should for this. I think the voters should beat him in a year, frankly, and kick him out of office and put Brad Anderson in personally. But, I don't think he will resign for it.
And speaking of replacing statewide office holders, Jonathan, you're throwing your hat in the ring, a different ring as well.
Full disclosure, I'm a candidate for a state auditor in the Democratic primary, and hopefully in November.
And most people don't even know who the auditor is anymore.
Well, it used to be David Vaught.
Right.
He resigned in the spring, and
Right.
Mary Mosselman was appointed by Governor
From
Branstad.
Story County, yeah.
Yes.
So it's almost like it's an open seat.
Well, she doesn't have a whole lot of name recognition. It'll
Right.
be her first time on the ballot.
Yeah. Well, Joe, I appreciate you joining us. Keep the feisty conversation going on Facebook. A lot of this stuff needs to be discussed. I mean, I think Matt Schultz, we could have a much longer discussion about what a horrible Secretary of State he has been. And again, this is just a small contribution to that repertoire. But again, I totally agree that the Democratic Party should be as open as possible There should not be a cost of admission. We'll see where that goes. And again, I hope we have a healthy three-way gubernatorial primary. Heck, if there are 4 or 5 candidates who want to jump into the Democratic primary, I say go for it. That's good for democracy. It's good for the party.
As I understand it, there are 4. I don't know the 4th guy, Paul Dahl or something like that. Never met him. Don't know anything about him.
Paul Dahl, a former city councilman from Ames.
Perhaps.
That's Ryan. That's Ryan Dahl. No, I'm wrong on that. I've not heard that. Okay. Again,
but one
let it
guy
go.
never gets mentioned in of the bigger 3, and this happened even back in the last senatorial election for Grassley's seat last time. The party basically shut down 2 candidates by saying, "Just wait, we've got the real candidate coming. Hang on, kids." And I remember Kiernan on the Iowa Public Television's Sunday morning show there, Friday night show, jumping up and down like Oprah on the couch, or Tom Cruise on the couch at Oprah, going, "Hang on, kids, because we got a real candidate coming," and just shut the other
who got what, 30%?
Yeah.
I mean, getting 30% of Grassley, that's about all you're ever going to get against Grassley, no matter how much money you throw at it, no matter who your candidate is, you know.
But they backed the money candidate instead of saying, "Here's our candidates." It's here's the one with money. Here's the one we like because of the money, you know. And so I see this as just being more of the same.
Yeah. Well, Joe, I appreciate you taking the time to join us from Marion. Keep in touch, and thank you for your work on veterans issues and other important causes.
Okay, thanks, Ed. Good talking with you, Jonathan.
Take care.
And thanks for joining us, Jonathan. Any final words?
I think we've covered it pretty well.
Yeah. Well, it will be an interesting year. I mean, and it's got kind of a slower year coming politically because there will be a growing interest in what happens in 2016 with the Iowa caucuses.
We'll start seeing a parade. Well, in fact, Rick Perry is here in Des Moines tomorrow night. So we're going to see a parade now. And probably, Joe Biden calling up local officials when they win. And we're going to start seeing the 2016 stuff happen.
And it's not, who knows what's going to happen on the Republican side, but it's not just going to be Hillary on the Democratic side.
No, there'll be a contested race. I can't imagine there won't be.
Yeah, I don't know whether you'll see Hillary and Biden.
I don't know if there was people on TV last night were talking about Liz Warren. Elizabeth Warren might jump in, particularly if Hillary does not.
That might excite some of the base. Yeah, that might excite some people.
She is running, so.
Yeah. Well, Jonathan, thanks so much for joining us, and good luck in your campaign for auditor.
Thank you.
I hope the Democratic Party lets you speak at the next event.
Perhaps at some point I can be back on and talk about that.
I'd like to do that. Yeah, I'd like to know why you think you're qualified and why you would be a better auditor than the person we have currently that nobody knows. Anyway. Sure. All right. Thanks, folks, for joining us for the conversation today. And again, remember the Immigrant Entrepreneur Summit, and you don't have to be a recent immigrant. You can have come over here from Ireland 2 generations ago. Or from Israel, how many generations ago?
Austria.
What? Austria. Okay, Austria, a couple generations ago. You don't have to be a new immigrant to get a lot of value out of this summit. It's a way to learn how to grow your business. Check it out, folks, online, iesusa.org. I want to thank Corazon Coffee Roasters. We're talking fair trade coffee and fair trade tea. They supply a lot of the great local businesses in Des Moines and beyond. Check them out, folks, online. That's Corazon Coffee Roasters. I also want to thank Tally's Restaurant, Bar, and Catering. Robert Santa is the owner. He's a fantastic chef and very creative. You can find him there for lunch and supper most days. And also, Tally's is open now for brunch on Sundays. Thanks to Maddie Kane, my producer. Thanks to Webcast One Live for providing the studio. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll be talking with Dan Kelly. State Representative Dan Kelly is back with us. We'll be talking with one of the organizers from the Immigrant Entrepreneur Summit briefly. And we'll also be talking with Michael Garvin. So plenty to go over tomorrow as well, folks. We'll see you then.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.